Hey boys and girls, it's Miss Gainey here to teach you a lesson or review partitioning rectangles. I know that last week I started teaching you about partitioning rectangles and Miss Healy also did a video this week. So we're just going to do a little bit more review on partitioning rectangles. So remember, your I can statement is I can partition a rectangle into rows and columns. So let's do a little bit of a review of what partitioning means. So partitioning means to separate or divide into equal parts. So in order to partition, we use rows and columns. So everybody get your fingers ready. We're going to review rows. So remember, rows run side to side. Rows run side to side. Say it with me one more time. Rows run side to side. Okay, so or horizontally, you can call that horizontally. Let's review columns. Get your fingers ready. Columns run up and down. Columns run up and down. Last time, columns run up and down, okay, or vertically. So we're going to do a little practice together. I have 4 rectangles that I've drawn, and I want you to make sure that you have a sheet of paper and a pencil with you right now. So if you do not, go ahead and pause the video so you can grab a sheet of paper and pencil to do a couple practice problems with me. Okay, so everybody should have a sheet of paper and pencil with them. So I am going to go ahead and give you a number of rows and columns for you to partition a rectangle on your sheet of paper. So once I give you the rows and columns, I'm going to have you pause the video. But before we do that, I want to remind you of this one really important tip. Always draw one less row or column. If you draw the exact amount, you're going to have too many. So always remember, one less row and one less column. And we'll go back through that as we go through these 4 rectangles. All right, everybody ready? First one, I want you to draw 4 rows and 4 columns. So go ahead, pause the video, and draw your 4 rows and 4 columns. Okay, let's check your answers. So in order to draw my 4 rows, how many rows are you going to draw? So if you need 4 rows, you are going to draw 3 lines. So let's go ahead and draw our 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. So now let's check to make sure we have our 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. Now, 4 columns. Our columns go up and down. Our rows go side to side. So now we're going to do our columns that go up and down. If we are drawing 4 columns, how many lines do we need to draw? We need to draw 3. That is correct. So, 1, 2, 3. So now let's count our columns. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So all together, now we can count our units and get our total units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So now we have our 16 total units. All right, let's do another one together. We are going to do 2 rows this time and 3 columns. Okay, so we're going to go 2 rows, 3 columns. Go ahead, pause your video, and do 2 rows and 3 columns. All right, guys, let's check your answers. So we'll start with our rows. Rows go side to side. So we need to draw how many lines to make our 2 rows? 1. Good job, guys. So let's draw one right down the middle. Good job. Get all the way there. Okay. Now let's check our rows. 1, 2. Now we need to draw our columns. Columns go up and down. So we have 3 columns. How many lines do we need to draw? 2. 1, 2. All right, so let's check. We have 1, 2, 3. So we have the correct amount of rows and the correct amount of columns. Now, to get our total units, we can count by 2s because we have 2 rows. So see how I am counting by 2s here? I'm going to use these 2 squares as 2. 2, 4, 6. So I have my 6 total units. So if I count by 2s, I can just get there a little bit quicker than counting by 1s. You can still count by 1s if it's easier for you. All right, moving on. We have 2 more to do together. So down here, I want you to do, let's do 5 rows and 4 columns. So let's do 5 rows and 4 columns. Go ahead, pause the video, and do 5 rows and 4 columns. All right, so let's go ahead, let's check your answer. I have already drawn your 5 rows and your 4 columns. So let's take a look at it together. So for 5 rows, you are going to draw 4 lines for your rows. So let's check mine. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 rows, or lines, drawn. Now let's check our rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 rows. Now let's look at our columns and see if I did it correctly. Remember, columns go up and down. So in order to get 4 columns, we want to draw 3 lines that are up and down. So let's check. 1, 2, 3 lines. Now let's check our columns and make sure that we have the correct number. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have a total of 4 columns. Now, just like we did in the last problem where we counted by 2s, in this problem we can count by 5s because we have our 5 rows, which make 5 in each column. So let's do it together. 5, 10, 15, 20. And that gives us our total 20 units. So counting by 5s makes it a lot quicker than counting by 1s. All right, now let's do our last one together. And we are going to do, let's do 6 rows and 2 columns. 6 rows and 2 columns. So go ahead and pause your video and do 6 rows and 2 columns. All right, let's check our work here. So, in order to draw 6 rows, we need to draw 5 lines across. So let's go ahead here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so let's check our rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 rows that go side to side. Now let's do our columns. We need 2 columns. Columns go up and down. So in order to get 2 columns, we need to draw 1 less line, which would be 1. So we'll draw one right down the middle. Okay, so now because we have our 2 columns, to get our total units, we can count by 2s again. So let's do that together. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So we have a total of 12 units. Okay, so good job, guys. Way to practice. Okay, boys and girls, so now I am going to show you a different way that we can practice using square tiles. So if you have anything lying around at home that is like these square tiles, you can practice partitioning your rectangles using square tiles. So right here I have a total of 16 square tiles, and I am going to make them into a rectangle. So I know that if I make, let's see if you can see all of that, 4 columns, and 4 rows, I can make a perfect rectangle. And I know that because we just did it in our practice. So I wanted to show you that you can also use objects at home to partition or create a rectangle using square tiles. So it's just another way to practice that I wanted to show you. So I also wanted to show you how you could do 16 tiles a different way. So here's my 4 columns and 4 rows. So let's look and make sure we know which way they're going. So here's my 4 rows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And here are my 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I want to show you how to make another rectangle with 16 square tiles with the same amount of square tiles, all right? So, it's kind of like a guess and check to see if I can create another rectangle. So I'm just kind of lining them up. We want to make sure that it's not going to be the same way that we created the first time, which is 4 rows and 4 columns. So let's see here. So the first way I'm going to do it, well, it doesn't quite make a rectangle because I have one left over here. So I need to find a different way and try again to see if I can create my rectangle. So let's see, I'm going to move these over just a little bit so I have a little bit more space. So maybe if I move some around, I can create another rectangle. All right, so let's try this. Let's try 2 rows and see if I have any luck. All right, so I'm getting my rows. Remember, if I have one left over, it's not a perfect rectangle, so I have to try again. All right. Oh, I think it's gonna work. All right, it did. So I have my square tiles into a rectangle here. This time I've used 2 rows, so 1, 2, and I've used 8 columns. So let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So all together, both my green rectangle and my blue rectangle have 16, but they are partitioned in different ways. So there are numbers that have square tiles or a total amount of square tiles that can be partitioned differently. So if you want to try at home, if you have something shaped like square tiles and you want to try to put them into rectangles and practice, that's an awesome extra activity for you guys to do. So great job today. Your assignment is on the plans that we sent out. It's a partitioning rectangles activity sheet. So you can either use the attachment or write it on a sheet of paper. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your teacher and let us know. Great job, guys.